Mr. J here. Okay, so Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson was born 1958. He did music his whole life. He was singing since he was 5 years old, 5 or 6 years old. His father was strict. His father was very abusive. And this, I hate to say this, but a lot of black men back in the 1950s and 60s would also were very strict. They had two-parent households, as opposed to now, like 2020. You got like one-parent household. A lot of black women nowadays are single. They don't have a man in their house. But back in the 1950s and 60s, there was always a strong black family. They had the black men back in the 1950s and 60s and 70s were very strict on their kids. They would beat their kids, and actually that would teach their kids to be more successful, keep them out of violence. So his father, Joe Jackson, whatever his name was, he was very strict and abusive. Michael Jackson had other brothers, and he would make them sing, and they become very successful. And Michael Jackson became a millionaire. He was a millionaire by the time he was 10 years old. He was creating his own songs, and they would travel all over the world. He didn't have a normal childhood. Michael Jackson went from school to school. He did homeschool. They had a big old mansion. His father, Joe Jackson, he whatever his name was, his father cheated on his mom. He was out there sleeping around with a whole bunch of women and stuff, and all that stuff happened. They became multimillionaire. They became the Jackson Five. By the 1980s, Michael Jackson went solo. By the mid 20s, he came out with Bad, Thriller. Thriller made millions. That's one of the most highest rated album ever made. Millions of people would go out there and dress like him. He created the moonwalk, the way he talked. He also Michael Jackson did self hate. He didn't really like himself. He would bleach his skin. He became lighter and lighter because also his father made fun of his nose too when he was like a teenager. His father said he had a big nose, and his father was very abusive. And this kind of caused him to be insecure about. He would make fun of his skin and make fun of his nose and make fun of the way he talked because Michael Jackson was very kind-hearted, a very sweet, nice person. His other brothers were kind of rough. They were out there having sex with girls. They were dating girls. They were kissing girls. They were out there getting in trouble. Just getting in. Michael Jackson was kind of like the mama's boy. He stayed out of trouble. The Jacksons were Jehovah Witnesses, so they were very strict. There were certain things they couldn't do. Now he could do things, but he had to be sneaky about it. His father was very strict on him. He would whip his kids if they messed up on singing. They spent Michael Jackson had a very musical life. He spent most of his time singing, and him and his brothers. So his brothers got married. They moved out the house. Michael Jackson stayed home until his 20s. He didn't move out until later in life. Um, he developed a self hate where he changed his hair, his skin. He actually did a got was also did like a he was also paid million. He was paid millions to do a Pepsi commercial. When he was doing the Pepsi commercial, he was dancing. His hair caught on fire. This also gave him more mental problems too, because now he's an African American guy, and that happened to him. Once his hair caught on fire, he had to go to the hospital. He was humiliated. It was all over the news. So this is when he started changing his appearance, his nose, his skin color. He became more white and changed his hair. He moved more like a woman. He went pale, and it was very creepy. Later on in life, he was accused. He was accused of he actually built Neverland, multi-million-dollar, big. It had rides and cotton candy. Had his own movie theater. It had a whole like animals. Had all that stuff there. He would invite kids from inner cities, kids who had diseases and cancers, kids who were disadvantaged. They didn't have a normal life. Kids who were pretty messed up in life. He would invite kids from all over the world to come to his place, Neverland. He called it Neverland because Michael Jackson never had a childhood, so he called it Neverland because he never grew up. Even though he was 25 years old, he had the mind of a 10-year-old. His mind, his body grew, but his mind never changed. In his mind, he was still a child. In 1990, he made friends with a guy named Mr. Chandler and Jordy Chandler. And in '93, this kid was 13. He accused him of uh, sexual assault, rape. And Michael Jackson had a trial, and he paid Jordy Chandler off, and a couple of, I think, 10 million. And it's kind of sad. And he was accused in 2005 when another Latino boy a 14-year-old boy accused him of sexual assault. So Michael Jackson has been through enough. He has had two children accuse him of that, and the first kid won, the other kid didn't win. But Michael Jackson is a pretty messed up black guy. He died in 2009, almost 11 years. Mr. J here, peace.